Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Councilman Pisanello, you had a comment you wanted to make.
So I like the idea of us redlining it, the margins, notes, and what have you, so we can see. Any comments that I have, I'll send to you, Emily, or the clerk?
Yes, please send to myself
Okay.
and the clerk, and her and I will work together to prepare it.
And also, do you want our liaison definitions or roles that we think
Yes,
as well?
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And so with that, I'm not sure how this is going to work or how much. So I'm trying to understand a little bit more about this note-taking, because I think Roberto answered it well. When we sit down, we talk about what's on the agenda. So, and we put whatever we talk about is in the summary every month. So I don't know if you're looking for a blow-by-blow detail, or are we looking for the summary? So maybe you can explain that to me, because I'm really,
Sure. So I tied in the finance piece because you had mentioned earlier this meeting where there was concern about people having more influence than they should.
unsubstantiated, yes.
Sure. So concerns, regardless whether they're substantiated or not, are concerns. So if there was a concern, I was trying to offer this and relate to you as a solution, because my notes are from January 6th. I had highlighted these things. I could not be at that meeting because I had a family emergency. So I was hoping to discuss this moving forward for this term, hoping that we could ensure transparency. I did not plan to have this addressed to finance. However you want to report it, that's how you're going to report it. I think it'd be great to have it streamlined and have the same expectations for everyone. If you can't see how this fits into your reporting, as in how you need to adjust it, that's fine and fair. But I do think it's important, particularly to discuss for me as a community outreach liaison and possibly the business liaison, where if we're coming to meet with staff and we have a topic we wish to discuss and engage the community with, whether it's the business community or the constituents, which I would hope everyone would want to be involved in finance, we would publicize that a bit better. We would address that ahead of time to engage. And so that's kind of what this was leading towards. And so it was not intended as an attack on anybody. It was offered as a possible solution that this may resolve those concerns, because we are all keeping this streamlined. We are all coming in with an agenda, and we are conducting business in a formal manner. And that's all it is trying to do.
Okay. So I think a while back, we talked about the liaisons are basically like the conduit between the staff and the council. That's technically what the liaisons are supposed to do. And I've always felt, and I think others may have, that the real finance committee is the work session. Everybody here. That's where the real discussion happens, because that's where the decisions are made. That's where the direction is from, not at the liaison level. And I've always held to that. So I'm not sure providing anything more than what we do now makes any sense. I think any of those other discussions, and the public's very open here to come to the meeting to discuss anything they want to, particularly at the regular meeting. They can make any comments they want to. This is where we should be having those finance discussions that matter to the people and that we have to make a decision on. So, I mean, we might want to rethink how we do that, how we do this agenda. Anyway, so that's a comment on that. But, you know, I'm going to think about what you said. Yeah, definitely. And see if there's anything we can do any better than what we've already been doing. But I think it's pretty substantial. Getting back to the remaining rules of procedure, also in there is an appendix that Kim printed out. And all it was an idea, and This is up, again, to council to decide what we want to do. One of the things that isn't in here, and we also have a policy on remote participation that we already have it. But is this something that we might want to consider incorporating into the council rules of procedure? And that's why I asked Kim to print it out, because this is something that we do and actually our conversation was more towards the BZA and the fact that the BZA may be looking to develop their own bylaws. And this is from our bylaws at the county level. And this is something that the chairman really pushed hard for, and we agreed it makes a lot of sense. And it's somewhat similar, but it really follows what the code is, essentially. So is this something that we might want to have as part of our council rules of procedure, or is this something that we just want to incorporate by reference? That's all. That's my only comment on that. I don't need to create more work or a longer document, but I felt that there was something there missing that we might want to put in there.
Quick question. Can we have time to look at this and kind of
Absolutely.
say, hey, can we take this and that? And,
But we should be really looking at our policy. This was just an example of what we do.
oh, okay, this is in it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
I think in reviewing it, first of all, thanks for providing that, Joe. I do think personally, a couple comments for myself. I think this should be looked at. I think maybe it's a little overkill for what we need here locally, and there may not, all points may not apply, but I do think in this day and age with online meetings and technology becoming more and more commonplace, I think it's something that we should at least look at and consider as part of this, being future thinking.
And I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think it also ties into a comment that Justin made in his write-up.
It does, yeah. I think just the other point I'd make, and just kind of listening to it, because I've been thinking about Councilwoman Ramirez's comments about, the note taking and the transparency. I'm all for transparency. Always have been. One of the reasons that I'm here is very much about that. I'm all for it. I've been trying to think about how do I tie it into the business liaison role a little bit. But the one thing that kind of kept on coming to my mind that I just want to make sure I stress here publicly is that each of our reports are also part of an agenda packet and can be pulled out of the consent agenda, to be discussed at any point in time. And I would encourage all of us that if we see something and we feel that we don't have the detail on a meeting, to pull the report and ask questions. I would emphasize, I would expect that if I don't provide an answer as business liaison, that somebody wants more detail, I would expect that you would pull it and question me on it. I have zero issues with that, and I just wanted to make sure I made that statement as well to remind us all if that's something that can be done.
Can I add one friendly statement to piggyback off of that? All of you, since we're starting off a new year, a new term, please keep in mind that, as we stated before, this work session, when Roberto brings up the monthly financial report, that's your opportunity, to ask us questions. Look at the budget. If you have any questions, why is one thing already at 100%? We should only be at, say, 62% right now. That's your opportunity. Ask those questions. It's being recorded. Our citizens can watch from home. That's exactly what we go through when we meet with the finance liaisons. We talk about these expenditures. We answer to why some things are already higher and why some things aren't hitting the marks. So use that opportunity as well. Not to pick on finance, but I know it's been a point that's come up in the last couple months pretty regularly. And then also at our regular, meeting, if you don't get the answer, you can't attend a work session. Again, pull that report from the consent agenda and let's go through it at that time, because you guys stand there, you represent your residents, and you need to know what to answer back when they ask you budget questions. So let us help you do that work.
I just have one more question. Because we were kind of all over. When do you want the job kind of briefing to you sent?
So we have our next meeting will be March 31st. So
You want it before then?
If possible, if you guys could aim to get them sent over to us, no later than March 17th, that'll give Kim and I a week to put it together into a big red line version. And then the agenda will go out ideally the 25th, and then we'll have the meeting the 31st.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you for clarifying.
So by St. Patrick's Day.
Yes. Turn it in before you go out and enjoy the local stops.
Any other comments right now or questions on the policies and procedures? Okay,
Nope.
let's move on to our,
Okay. I'm hoping to keep this one very quick for you guys. So this is one of the items I'm picking back up from after being out on leave. So discussion of the design and RFP for the Park Pavilion. What I would like to do is I'd like to work on a draft RFP for the design of the Park Pavilion and put that out there, have firms, put in their bids, and then we go through that process. I wanted to clarify with the town council, is it the council's desire to do a design build RFP or just a design RFP at this time? And if you don't know the answer yet, we can revisit it on Monday night. You guys can think about it. I can come back to you with a little bit of pros and cons for that option.
that's
Is
what I was
that-
going to ask. Can you give us the pros and cons?
Let me do that. Let me get us pros and cons of doing design or design build, and use some different examples of what we recently did.
Yes?
So yeah, Emily, because really that question is, it depends,
Yes.
right? Because I've discussed with Roberto while you were in absence, hey, I found this place. They look like they will customize things for you, but it's already a prefab.
Right.
And, in that case, you would want that to be a design build, or at least have them appropriate some construction company here to put up whatever they've put together, and
Right.
they've certified them, right? So yeah, it's definitely a depends. We need options that you would think of with the pros and cons. If we do already have done any investigation or targeted vendors.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, I'll bring that feedback to you guys on Monday. It probably won't be in a written report, but I'll report on it. So we'll put it on the agenda, and then it'll be a discussion point, and then Kim will document written in the minutes.
Got it. Yes?
Okay, so before we even get to design build, pros and cons. So what about the design criteria itself?
That's going to be a further discussion of the RFP. I know the very simplistic of what we want. We want a pavilion. We want there to be restrooms up there. And then we're going to need to address the parking to some degree, as well as the accessibility of the facility. So I know the simplistic part of what we want and what the vision is of council. Once we decide if we're looking at design or design build, I think then when we have our draft RFP in place, just like we did with the demo, we had like a list of criteria that we were looking for. We'll do a list of, this is the criteria we want of this new space that's being designed. So be thinking on that of what you guys want.
When do you anticipate that conversation will happen?
I would really like for it to happen. I know it's teeing up to be a busy night on the 31st, but I really would like for us to keep this moving and have this RFP put out by early summer, have them submit over the summer, and really keep this moving forward.
Can I ask that for that meeting, since we're going to be discussing the details and whatever, that we have the copy of the ARB's recommendations and any kind of, because I feel like we've talked about this item
Yes,
before. So if we can have those documents there ready in one place, I'm not sure exactly when they were discussed and where to locate them in my records.
yes, we'll pull those. And if it's as simple as we are reaffirming that what we already decided on is still the path forward, then that's fine. That's a 2-minute discussion
Okay,
of we're
cool.
reaffirming
Yep,
this.
for the 31st.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anything else from anybody? All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned.
That wasn't so bad.
Oh, that's nuts.